mention things that are close to my heart. Among the books that I have on display tonight is this book about Ezekiel's prophecy of the coming temple. And in this book there is a Kabbalistic explanation of the form of the temple that is completely unrivaled, brought to us by the outstanding Italian rabbinic genius, Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto. I brought this book out in 1999 when there was already talk of the coming Camp David talks between the then Israeli Prime Minister Barak and the fat rat. And the reason why I wanted to bring this book out at the time was because although Israeli sovereignty over the Temple Mount was the issue that brought the Camp David talks down, nowhere on the entire agenda was the biblical and prophetic destiny of the Temple Mount mentioned, namely the future temple. And here is an example of where we Jews are the most awful at hasbara, and where we can't get it together because although those of us who pray 3 times a day and say Birkat HaMazon are constantly referring to the prayer for the temple, nobody in the whole Jewish world, except for a few people who are considered to be extremists, actually does anything about the temple, besides the Temple Institute and the Temple Mount Faithful and a very limited number of other people. There's no consciousness whatever about what for us is the end of the roadmap. And in the form of the temple, according to Ramchal's Kabbalistic explanation, is the perfect embodiment of peace. Because the temple is a square structure. The courtyards are square. There's a square outer courtyard carrying a square inner courtyard and a square altar and a square temple building. And the significance of square, which actually is a contrast to the current half arc, which is on the Temple Mount, is that in a square the 4 sides are in perfect alignment with each other. Nobody is better, nobody is worse, nobody is farther away, nobody is nearer, left and right perfectly balanced. Top, east and west, all balanced. And here's an example of where even our own people, let alone the outside world, don't even know what we are talking about every time we pray for the building of the temple in Jerusalem. So this book is available here. There's also a much deeper, complex work of Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, a couple of copies of 138 Openings of Wisdom, which is Luzzatto's comprehensive explanation of the Kabbalistic system. I have here a book called The Wings of the Sun, which represents some 6 to 7 years of my life spent researching the subject of healing according to the Torah. And I'm not about to start a lecture about these subjects tonight, but these are books that express the sources from which I derive my own inspiration, and none of them more than Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, the beloved Rabbi Nachman, who is famous for saying, wherever I'm going, I'm always going to Israel. No matter where I'm going, I'm always on my journey to Israel. And here you have the essential Rabbi Nachman in one volume, a collection of all of Rabbi Nachman's most famous and fundamental teachings about faith and joy, simplicity, simple prayer to God, and many other subjects, his most famous parables and stories. So take the advantage of my presence here this evening to be able to get hold of these books, because I think that for all of the political and the strategic level of this discussion, at the end of the day, we're all mortal, we're all going to be flying away from this world, and we need to nourish ourselves with the spiritual food for our journey, and this is contained in Reb Nachman's teachings. I'd also like to say a word about my institute, the Azamra Institute. There is information here in the sheet about exactly what the Azamra Institute is doing. It is committed to Torah outreach to Jewish people and to Gentiles. And I'd be very happy if anybody would like to take a look at this and see exactly what we are doing. One of the things we do is to maintain a very busy website which has classes updated every week, and which has email lists of Bible study, of Parsha study, of events in the Jewish calendar. And we're also directing ourselves now to the project of precisely speaking out God's Torah to the nations. I'm headed tomorrow to Dallas, Texas for a 3-day study conference of Gentile B'nai Noach on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And when I spoke before about my belief in the need to fulfill Sapru Kavod Bagoyim, to speak His glory in the nations, I really mean doing this in practice. I think that now the time has come for getting up and having the courage and the boldness to go against the stream, against political correctness, and to make contacts with Gentiles and to speak about the peace that we truly yearn for and the values that we espouse. So I'd be very grateful to anybody who would like to help Zamra with this mission of spreading Torah among Jewish people and Gentiles. You can make a contribution through internet. You can make a contribution through a check to a Zamra Institute, which is a recognized charity, and IRS recognized charity.
Distribute those papers, should I give them out?
I'd be very grateful if you would. Yes.
I'm curious, I very much appreciate what you said just a moment ago about the four sides and all being equal. And I'm guessing that in the number of times that you speak to groups regarding Israel, particularly American Jews, I'm guessing that you almost never see a unity or balance among your listeners by the end of your presentation. I would guess that the kind of back and forth that we've heard this evening that seems to be weighted down in some of the smaller pictures, using your own ideas, weighted down in some of the smaller details instead of the larger picture that you're presenting to us. I would imagine you see that quite a great deal whenever you're talking. I can't imagine that you've ever been in a group like in the United States, it's all conjecture, mind you, where you've ever left the room with everybody in agreement, right? So my question to you is, what do you come away with all of these times that you come and talk and with very inspiring ideas? And I would imagine in this room there are probably plenty of people who completely disagree with some of the things you say. We've heard evidence of that.
Why don't you cite one example?
This is my case in point. Of course, it's my